The UNIGRID Network offers a decentralized and anonymous cloud service free from centralized control and resistant to firewalls. Experience true freedom and break away from costly traditional cloud providers and their data centers. But before we learn more about UNIGRID, let's talk about few questions that are bothersome. Firstly, let's discuss about what is the sharded network that UNIGRID talks about safely, securely, and to make sure that the equipment they had could actually store it. So they split up the data and stored it on many different pieces of hardware. Well, in terms of cryptocurrencies, sharding refers to splitting up blockchains in the many different parts. Like in the case of Ethereum 2.0, the developers plan to create 64 different shards so that the information of the blockchain is split up. If you're curious what the Ethereum 2.0 is or what features that is adding up, you should definitely read more about it. But for now, let's go over to the main benefit of sharding. Ethereum network is super congested, meaning a ton of people are wanting to transact each second. And because of this, Ethereum uses a bidding system to get your transactions through. A few weeks ago, the transaction fees reached a high of $50, which is crazy to think that just sending money using Ethereum would cost a $50 fee. Well, to fix this technological research, you can really only pick two of these. If you start to improve the third one, it seems that the other two start to degrade. For example, we could make the Ethereum network super scalable up to 1 million transactions per second. We could do that. However, we would need to make it more centralized, similar to how Visa works. And because of that centralization, it would also make it more hackable, which would then degrade the security. As another example, if we wanted to make maybe increase in security, we could make each block extremely difficult to solve, but that would greatly lower the amount of transactions that can happen per second and also limit the amount of people who can become miners, which would mean only those with a lot of money to invest in would participate in being a miner, effectively making the network more centralized. Let's go over a real life example. Think about it like this: when you are in college, you can pick social life, a good sleep schedule, or good grades. When you start to lean on one, you see the effect on the others. Growing a blockchain is very similar to this, and since Ethereum needs these upgrades, the developers had to think of a way to improve all three if it was possible. To expand on our metaphor, this would be like if your grandfather was the dean of that school. Because of this, you could have great grades, but because you could bribe the teachers, then you would get better sleep because of the grades that you got, and finally your social life would probably improve because people would want to be your friend, so that maybe you could pull some strings for them. So sharding seems to be the best idea to increase scalability without losing the security benefits of the Ethereum network and keeping it totally decentralized. Speaking of keep, so this is the problem. How do you store massive amounts of data and keep track of it? Simultaneously, how do you allow the network to grow without major bottlenecks and performance problems forming as it does? The UNIGRID network approaches this problem differently. The UNIGRID network isn't a single ledger or a blockchain. Instead, it's a collection of blockchains with data striped across them with parity blocks introduced for fault tolerance and redundancy. The end result is a network with the amount of transactions that can be handled borders on the internet. The number of transactions the network can handle grows as the network does. Picture it like this: imagine the UNIGRID network as a collection of smaller networks that are independent from each other. In the middle of this, an address tree ledger is used to keep track of the network and how to find the data. To limit resource waste, the UNIGRID network, with the help of the address tree ledger, also allows blockchains to reorganize and throw away stale blocks, preserving balances. Transaction blocks and data blocks that are no longer valid or simply too old to matter are thrown away. These allow the storage spaces used on the network to grow or even shrink in size. This makes UNIGRID the first blockchain network that can size, adjust, and segment itself in this manner.